Everyone, now we're moving on to the principles of sustainable development, which is the ESD is based on. So, all sustainable development programs must consider the three spheres of sustainability. First, we have the environment, which is to maintain an ecological balance in our planet's natural environment and conserve natural resources to support the well being of current and future generations. Then we have a society, one in which we do not damage the environment or overuse resources and are therefore able to live a beautiful, peaceful, and bountiful earth that future generations can continue to inhabit. And the last one, the economy, the practices that support long-term economic growth without negatively impacting social, environmental, and cultural aspects of the community. It is about balancing economic growth and generating profit with the impact on the environment and the people, as well as in the underlying dimensions of culture, since sustainable development addresses the local context of these three spheres. It will take many forms around the world. So, the ideals and principles that underlie sustainability include broad concepts such as equity among generations. Each generation has the right to inherit the same diversity in natural, cultural, health, and economic resources enjoyed by previous generations and to equitable access to the use and benefits of these resources. So no, fairness between generations is embedded in the concept of sustainable development. So the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which is na-discuss kanina, recognizes the importance of intergenerational equity and acknowledges that the future of humanity and of the planet lies not only in our hands but also in the hands of today's younger generation. So, do you agree with it ba? Need ba natong hatagan og importansya ang intergenerational equity? So, yes, no. It is very important to acknowledge the relevance of intergenerational equity because sustainable development aims at maximizing the welfare of both present and future generations. It does not mean hindering the existing phase of economic growth, but refers to a judicious or optimum utilization of resources in such a manner that pace of economic growth sustained with intergenerational equity. Because when we say sustainability, it is requiring that well-being is at least maintained for future generations and is therefore an important consideration for decisions that have long-term impacts. So aside from equity among generations, there also has the gender equity. Yes, no to gender discrimination, the peace o kalayaan. Ingon pa si Albert Einstein that peace can be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. So, to keep the world in peace, we must be open-minded and extend our understanding towards others. So again, the equity among generations, gender equity, peace, tolerance, poverty reduction, environmental preservation, and restoration, natural resource conservation, and social justice. So sustainability is not a question of either environmental protection or social justice, but of resolving the relationship between the two so that they are mutually supportive. It is about achieving social justice while staying within the limits of our planet. So the Rio Declaration contains 27 principles, but in my report there are only 8 principles that was being highlighted. The 1992 Rio Declaration on Environment and Development defines the rights of the people to be involved in the development of their economies and the responsibilities of human beings to safeguard the 1992 Rio Declaration on Environment and Development defines the rights of the people to be involved in the development of their economies and the responsibilities of human beings to safeguard the common environment. So, the primary objective of the Rio's Earth Summit was to produce a broad agenda and a new blueprint for international action on environmental and development issues that would help guide international cooperation and development policy in the 21st century. And these principles including first, we have the people are entitled to a healthy and productive life in harmony with nature. So, sustainable human development means living in harmony with nature. We cannot be developed unless our lives become reconnected and in balance, cooperation, and harmony with nature. So, ang kana siya nga term, harmony with nature, it denotes a peaceful and harmonious coexistence between people and nature. It is employed in a variety of contexts, but its application and discussion of sustainable development and the rights of the nature, both of which strive to elevate man-made environmental crisis that is particularly notable. So, moving on, we are now on the second principles, which is the right to development must be fulfilled as so to meet environmental or developmental and environmental needs of present and future generations in an equitable way. So sustainability consists of fulfilling the needs of current generations without compromising the needs of future generations, while ensuring a balance between economic growth, environmental care, and social well-being. The aim of sustainable development is to allow usage of resources without disrupting balance and stability of the natural system. And as human beings, how will we sustain and maintain the environment for future generations? As what Dr. Tikong said, di ba katong 4R, which is the to reduce, reuse, and recycle. So we must do this 4R in order to sustain and maintain the environment for future generations. And now we're moving on to the third one, which is eradicating poverty and reducing disparities in living standards in different parts of the world are essential to sustainable development. So poverty is associated with a host of health risks, including elevated risk of heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, infant mortality, and mental illness, undernutrition, bleeding, poisoning, asthma, and dental problems, and marami pang iba. is sa pinaka-impact aning poverty is hunger, di ba? So hunger is reduced. Unless hunger is reduced, progress in cutting poverty is bound to be slow. So a direct attack on hunger will greatly improve the chances of meeting the other Millennium Development Goals, which di ba natin katong kuan pila to ka buok 17 to ka buok na goals. Not only for poverty reduction but also those related to education, child mortality, maternal health and disease. So to combat poverty, we can do something to combat poverty. And there are policies can support jobs and workers, enhance access to and the quality of education, encourage inclusive rural development, and fortify social safety nets, and lastly, the addressing opportunity disparity. So now we're moving on to the fourth one, which is the environmental protection is an integral part of the development process and cannot be considered in isolation from it. So a healthy environment is what environmental protection aims to maintain and recover. So in order to achieve long-term equitable growth that benefits both present-day society and the generations to come, sustainable development integrates environmental, social, and economic goals. So environmental protection aims preserving the environment. Its goals are to preserve natural resources and the current natural environment, as well as to repair harm and reversal trends where it is practical. So key aim of environmental protection is to prevent the degradation of the natural environment, which is affected by increasing population, the technology, and overconsumption, all of which have created a negative impact on the environment and continue to put humans and animals at risk. So, moving on to the fifth one, which is international actions in the fields of environment and development should also address the interest and needs of all countries. Di ba no, ang sustainable development practices help countries grow in ways that adapt to the challenges posed by climate change, which will in turn help to protect important natural resources for ours and to future generations. It should also align with the interests and needs of all countries. So, although the environment can continue to survive in its natural state, human intervention has caused extensive destruction in many ecosystems. It is very important for us to protect our environment so that we can continue to live on this planet in a healthy and safe atmosphere, not just in our country but also to the other countries, but overall. So moving on to the sixth one, we have here to achieve sustainable development and a higher quality of life for all. So countries should reduce and eliminate unsustainable patterns of reductions in consumptions and promote appropriate demographic policies, respecting the biophysical limits of the earth and reducing reducing present global consumption rates to fit with the biophysical ability to deliver ecosystem services and benefits are essential components of sustainable consumption and production practices. So we have to eliminate those unsustainable patterns of reductions and consumptions as well as the practices so that ma-achieve yun nato ang sustainable development, ang sustainability sa usa ka butang, because we can't achieve development without eradicating those unsustainable patterns. Just like with life, dili ta mo grow as a person, or we cannot achieve personal development or personal growth without addressing the problem first and eliminating it. So now we're moving on to the last two. Women play a vital role in environmental management and development. Their full participation is therefore essential to achieving sustainable development. So women, no, way back in history, gina-discriminate ang women sa una. They are powerless and disregarded in society when it comes to ruling and leading, kaya mga babae daw is weak, fragile, and many more, you name it. So the first female president of Ireland, kay mo na ang former United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and a member of the Elders, an exclusive group tasked with tackling global challenges is Mary Robinson, has championed equality, justice, and human rights for several decades. So, her last initiative, the Mary Robinson Foundation, which is climate justice, identifies 7 principles for climate justice and aims to amplify the voice of poor and vulnerabilities of the communities. So it aims to provide thought leadership on climate change and human rights issues, forge connection between sustainable development and human rights disciplines, and tap on Robinson's influence to convene events that bring diverse stakeholders together to tackle climate justice issue. So one of the female role model in this sustainable development was Mary Robinson. So also we have the Nobel Peace Prize nominee and Inuit activist Shala Lotter raises awareness about the impact of climate change on a region that is remote and unknown to many but essential to the planet's survival, which is the Arctic. So she has been a political representative for the rights of Inuit people throughout her career. So including in her role as a international chair for the Inuit Circumpolar Council, which represents the interests of Inuit people from Canada, Alaska, the Russia, and Greenland into other polar regions. So did you know that in 2015, she published The Right to Be Cold, a book which describes how global warming is eroding the livelihoods and culture of the Inuit people in her native Nunavut, and makes the argument that protection from climate change is a human right. So, tinood ba? Protection from climate change is a human right? So, yes, it is. So, salute to Mary Robinson and Shala Potter and also to all the women who contributed in promoting sustainable development and protecting our 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 world, the earth. So now we're moving on to the last one, which is the warfare is inherently destructive to sustainable development, peace, development, and environmental protection are interdependent and indivisible. So, more specifically, some have argued that wars are fought primarily for economic, religious, and political reasons. So others have claimed that most wars today are fought for ideological reasons. So there is no clean end to war once you are in a war mentality. Winners in one war become losers the next, and combat runs into a quagmire in which it is obvious that neither side will be able to claim victory. So war thinking keeps stubbornly drilling home the same metaphor of war. As history teaches us from World War I to Vietnam and now Afghanistan, wars are at once pointless, relentless, and endless. So war heroes on one side are war criminals on the other. So there is a way to end war. And one sees signs of the solutions appearing whenever or wherever people realize that we share the same goal to achieve a prosperous, healthy, and sustainable planet. So war doesn't serve this shared goal. And the question is, how long will it take for a positive global purpose to overshadow the metaphor of war that is embedded in nationalism, tribalism, and racial and ethnic divides in the other fellow travelers of war. So all these divisions are mind-made. When we say mind-made, it exists because people think about it. They exist because we constructed them. And the secret is that whatever you made, you can unmake. So de-escalating the concept of enemy. An enemy can be reframed in progressive order as an adversary, competitor, partner, teacher, and finally your equal. Then we can also treat other side with respect, otherwise you lose them before you start. So these are the ways to end a war, to end a conflict with one another, even in a smallest conflict. So we also need to recognize that there is the perception of injustice on both sides. This is a point of agreement adversaries can join in. Also, forgiveness and ask for forgiveness is essential. Here, forgiveness means letting go of your desire for retribution and revenge. This is an act of true courage. Yes, forgiveness is an act of true courage. Even if You believe that the other side doesn't deserve forgiveness. You deserve peace. Yes. So now we're moving on to these principles can guide the efforts of governments, communities, and organizations to define sustainability goals and create programs to help achieve those goals. And this is all for my report, and thank you so much.
Good day everyone, especially to you Dr. Tikong. So now we will be discussing about the characteristic of education for sustainable development. Till this time, we will have been discussing various concepts related to sustainability like carrying capacity, ecological footprint, or even the sustainable development goals as well. But today, it is very important because we will be discussing the education for sustainable template or ESD. Characteristic of ESD or Education for Sustainable Development is based on the principles and values that underlie sustainable development, include all three spheres of sustainability environment. In previous discussion ni Ms. Mariver Jokno, she discussed about the three spheres of sustainability environment. The three spheres of sustainability are environment, society, and economy. Again, the three spheres of sustainability are, first is environment, and the second one is society, and the last one is economy. Remember that. And as well as underlying the dimension of culture. And they uses the variety of pedagogical techniques that promote. And the fourth bullet, participatory learning and the higher order of thinking skills. What are these? Kuan di ay kaning the participatory learning, it is about the body of lesson where learners are involved as actively in learning process as possible. And about the higher order of thinking skills, what pasabot ani is they called high order of thinking skills, or mo ning gitawag na tuog HAT, like kuan kanang halahat lagi ka, sala bright lagi ka, tasyag thinking skills. It refers to skills that go beyond memorizing information or regurgitating stories. Mo nibot pasabot sa participatory learning. And the fifth bullet, promote lifelong learner. The meaning of promote lifelong learner is learning is develop personal knowledge in order to be a better citizen who is capable of adapting to diverse situation while contributing to our society, and is locally relevant and culturally appropriate. Is based on the local needs, perceptions, and conditions, but acknowledges that fulfilling local needs often has international effect and consequences, and engages formal and non-formal and informal education. What are these? If we talk about the non-formal and informal education, non-formal learning, it takes place outside a formal learning environment, gawa sa formal environment. And sila kadang opposite side to sila sa non-formal and interformal learning. And we talk about the informal learning, it takes place outside the school or outside the school and colleges, and arises from the learners their involvement in activities that are not undertaken with a learning purpose in mind. Accommodates the evolving nature of the concept of sustainability and addresses content taking into account context, global issues, and local priorities, and they build civil capacity or they build civil capacity for community based on decision making, tolerance, mga environmental stewardship, workplace adaptability, and quality life. Last one is interdisciplinary. No single discipline can claim ASD for itself alone, but all disciplines can contribute to ASD on UNESCO 2005. This essential characteristic of ESD can be implemented in diverse ways so that the unique environmental or social and economic conditions of each locality are reflected in teaching and learning process in local schools. In addition, education for sustainable development, they promote the development of the knowledge, skills, understanding to the student, or values and actions required to create sustainable world, and also which ensures environmental protection and conservation. And also they promote social equity and encourage economic sustainability. That's all about my topic, the characteristic of ASD. So now we will be proceed to the next presenter given by Miss Princess Villalobos. It's your turn.
Good morning, everyone. So let's proceed to the fourth thrust of ESD. So we should always remember the ESD stands for Education for Sustainable Development. So ESD was first described by chapter 36 of Agenda 21. So this chapter identified 4 major thrusts to begin the work of ESD. So ESD has 4 thrusts or areas emphasizes. The first one is improving basic education. So improving access and retention in quality basic education is enrolling and retaining both boys and girls in quality basic education is important to their well-being throughout their lives and to the society in which they live. So asas lato po yun. So basic education focuses on helping people gain knowledge, skills, values, and perspectives that encourage sustainable livelihoods and on supporting citizens to live sustainable lives. So ani nga first trust or the first priority, the content and years of basic education differ greatly around the world. So in some countries, for instance, primary school is considered basic education. Ani nila mahibaw-an ang saon pagbasa, pagsuwat, o even the simple mathematics or which arithmetic or basic math like adding, subtracting, dividing, and multiplying. So pupils they can learn or they can read newspapers, so they can write letters and figure accounts, or they can count, of course, so na sa basic math or atong kuan ganiha mga basic education. And of course makadevelop sila skills nga necessary to fulfill their expected roles in their households. So dili ra pud sa household but also in the community. So girls, for example, may learn about nutrition and nursing, and pupils also learn how their government functions and about the world beyond their community. So even if they learn such basic education, they are also, or they have, dapat na po sila knowledge in the happenings in the community. So Simply increasing basic literacy, as it is currently taught in most countries, will not advance sustainable society. So, indeed, it, if communities and nations hope to identify sustainable goals or sustainability goals and work towards them, um, they must focus on skills, values, and perspective that encourage and support public participation and community decision making. So, to achieve this, basic education must be reoriented to address sustainability and expanded to include critical thinking skills and skills to organize and interpret data and information, skills to formulate questions, and the ability to analyze issues that confront communities. So, ani na masod ang ikaduha nga thrust, which is katong reorienting existing education. So we're reorienting existing educational programs to address sustainability, because reorienting education requires revising education from early childhood care and up through higher education. It requires rethinking what is taught, how it is taught, and what is assessed, with sustainability as a central theme. So this process is future oriented because the pupils of today will need to be able to address the challenges of tomorrow, which will require creativity as well as analytic and problem solving skills. So ano sa reorienting existing education? The term reorienting education has become a powerful descriptor that helps administrators and educators at every level, from nursery up through university. So, to understand the changes required for ESD, an appropriately reoriented basic education includes more principles, skills, perspectives, and values related to sustainability than are currently included in most education systems. So, hence, it is not only questions of quantity education, but also one of appropriateness and relevance. So, dapat in reorienting education, of course, it is expected to be appropriate and relevant. In SD, it encompasses a vision that integrates environment, economy, and society, because reorienting education also requires teaching and learning knowledge, skills, perspective itong na-mention ganiha, values, nga mo guide and motivate people to pursue sustainable livelihoods, to participate in a democratic society, and to live in a sustainable manner. So, diba sa first or katong improving access and the retention quality basic education, they just focus on how to read, writing, and of course basic mathematics, mga arithmetic. And while here in your reorienting education, they level up, they try to learn more knowledge, skills, or develop more skills and more critical or practical perspectives and values that will, of course, that will sustain. So let's go to the third, which is public understanding and awareness. So the third is increasing public understanding and awareness of sustainability. So achieving the goals of sustainable development requires citizens who are knowledgeable about sustainability and about the daily actions necessary to help achieve community and national sustainability goals. These citizens will require widespread community education and responsible media that committed to encouraging and informed and active populace to learn throughout life. So, in the third thrust, so you should not focus on giving knowledge to students alone. You must also reach out to the community. So, for example, implementing mga sustainable parahan ng plastic or something, segregation, need mo anak mo kanang mo connect sa inyong mga local inyong barangays para implement na not just sa eskwelahan but also sa I am sorry for the video because my storage is full. So let me just voice over my report. So okay, so back to the kuan. Dapat pod sa atong community. So not just the young but older generation must be media literate. So mao ni na sa third. So di jud ingon nga ato ang kanang kuan is for young but also to adults. So let's proceed to the training, which is all about the providing training to all sectors of the workforce. So all sectors of the workforce can contribute to local, regional, and national sustainability. Both public sector and private sector employees should receive ongoing vocational and professional training infused with the practices and principles of sustainability, so that all the members of the labor force can access the knowledge and skills necessary to make decisions and work in a sustainable manner. So for example, let's go back to the example in the public understanding. So in elementary school, they katong nakig-connect sila sa local sa mga LGU sa ilahang community. Then katong ato ang example kay katong segregation. So magkuan sila ato kanang implement sila ato about sustainability. Pareha atong ag mga teachers, since ag mga bata anam jud magsugod unsay ilang makita silang mga maguwang, let's say guardians, parents, teachers, mga maguwang, then og gihimo na to nga mag-segregate sa plastics, how to be responsible for our own trashes. So sa ilang una dapat sila mosunod ato. So ag-ani nga kuan gitrain na daan from the primary pa nga kanang aspect hantod na madaan nila sa inika dako. So ani nga kani nga training ato sa about sa segregation, dili ra ag mga bata ag na kanang na train, but also the labor force or the katong na belong sa kanang let's say school, katong mga teachers, also outside in the classroom setting sa ato ang community, sa atong mga households. Kay of course kay makununag mga bata kay nganong sa eskwelahan na nila makita saktong paglabay og mga basura, pero sa ilahang iniguli silang bahay nya wa na practice. So di sila something, di sila motivate, di sila mainteresado. Man ang kailangan together jud ag community ug sa school para makasinabtanay jud na sila. So mao to ag providing training to all sectors of the workforce. So masabtan naman siguro, no? Pero atong kanang hinumduman that thrust 1 and 2 are primarily involved formal education, since nag-involve ni siya atong mga basic education, katong mga educational nga form of formal, kay in a educational setting man din siya may tabo. And the third and fourth thrust is may tabo ni siya even outside kay public, and ma-involve man nato ag ato mga local community. So let's proceed to the ESD in the 5 pillars of education. So UNESCO's Education for Sustainable Development Initiative of 2012 presented a conceptual framework for ongoing lifelong learning. This model organizes learning into the following 5 pillars. So the first pillar is learning to know. So sa atong sustainability, we have pillar that is learning to know, because the development of skills and knowledge needed to function in this world, example, formal acquisition of literacy, numeracy, critical thinking, and general knowledge. So sa sustainability, gusto ka you have a sustainable development, you have to know unsay mo dapat buhaton. So So ano example is acquisition of literacy. So kay ba ka mobasa, kay ba ka masuwat. Numeracy, kay ba ka magkwenta og mga kanang numbers. Examples, money, everything nga nag-involve og numbers. And critical thinking, of course, kay ma-involve ni siya sa atong decision making. And a general knowledge, since kita na atay mga nahibaw-an sa different fields, even if mga kuana na sila mga basic knowledge in that various field, at least you have a knowledge of general knowledge about the things that involves or kanang makaapekto nato. Then the second pillar is learning to do. So the acquisition of applied skills linked to professional success. So after learning to know or how to have a sustainable development, of course, you have to do or you have to demonstrate, you have to apply your knowledge in this second pillar, because asa man nimo na imuhang pagkaibaw pero di nimo i-apply, diba? Asa may sustainable na. So mo na nga we need to learn to do, to apply our knowledge. So masabta naman siguro ng ikaduha, no? Mo na mo proceed sa ikatulo, learning to live together. So in this situation, socialization is important because we are aware that no man is an island. So we should live, or we should learn how to live together, because the development of social skills and values such as respect and concern for others and the appreciation of cultural diversity. So for example, we don't appreciate a cultural diversity. So of course, wajay unity mahitabo, and it is not sustainable. Because sa hinumduman nato, diba, socialization is a lifelong process, because according to katong Brinkerhoff, socialization is learning the roles, statuses, and values necessary for participation in social institutions. So, di ba, maka-imagine ta og wala tay pagkahiusa, di ta kay baw ingon-ingon, di ta kay baw mo respect sa others, we don't have generosity, so what ay community. So mo nang na-appeal sa 5 pillar ag learning to live together. So, okay. The next pillar is learning to be. Diba? Learning to be imong gustong maikaw, something yan na. So, ang definition of learning to be is the learning that contributes to a person's mind, body, and spirit. Skills include creativity and personal discovery, acquired through reading, the internet, and activities such as sports and arts. Masud aning example is learning to be part of the people who support sustainability, because for example sa imong hunahuna, imo gikuan nga importante ang sustainability. So sa imong body, you should mulihok ka para sa sustainable sa atong community, so that if you achieve those goals, your spirit is quite fulfilling, success para sa imong kaugalingon kay na achieve na ang goal. So skills nga ma-include ani is creativity and personal discovery. Kay sa una, di ba, wala pa tay media, so ato ara yung mga knowledge is through personal discovery. Karon we kanang kay mo ta magkuri-kuri sa social media, we can use that as a platform para i-inform nato atong mga peers, friends, and other adult generation nga how important to sustain our economy, our environment. So mo puning atong hinumduman nga ang ato ang mga nahibawan dili ra po na sa personal discovery, but sa atong pagbasa-basa ato ra ma-include ang internet, and ato ang mga activities kung sa ana ta sa eskwelahan natin ma-gain knowledge sa atong discussion. Unay mga activities nga ihatag ang eskwelahan, so you maka-acquire po kag bag-ong knowledge ana that imong ma-apply sa iniguling kita sa inyo ha or asa pa na diha. So mo to ang nasabtan sa learning to be. So let's proceed to the ikalima nga pillar, which is learning to transform oneself and society. When individuals and groups gain knowledge, develop skills, and acquire new values as a result of learning, they are equipped with tools and mindset for creating lasting change in organization, communities, and societies. So, of course, if you gain already the knowledge, you already develop the skills to apply that knowledge, and you also acquire new values as a result of sa imuhang or people around you, they can influence you and you can influence them vice versa. So you are already equipped with the tools and mindset or unsaon nimo pag apply atong sustainability kay nana kay knowledge nga nana po kay kanang saktong skill or kanang na develop po imong skill to do or to apply that knowledge. So of course expected na jud na nga naay may tabong kabaguhan in a positive way nga mulahutay sa atong communities and in a bigger scope society and afterwards in our country. So mo jud na no o mo nang learning is a lifelong process kay dili man jud mohunong ra ana nga ana ra ta makahibaw, but throughout our lifetime we gain knowledge. So mo na to ang hinumduman sa atong 5 pillars nga we learn to know, mo kanang ma-acquire tag knowledge, and learning to do kato atong knowledge ato i-apply or para mas kanang something na apoy na ay result ag atong gi-acquire nga knowledge. And the third is learning to live together para sa if we socialize, they influence you, you influence them. So ato nga kuan kanang naka-influence na nimo, so you know what you want to be, and after that you are committed and you are ready to take the goal for a better change in a positive way. So mo to siya ag 5 pillars. So the fourth thrust of ESD and the 5 pillars of education bring together two compatible educational paradigms and efforts. Paradigms. Basta man na to. And both require that school system and teachers move towards teaching all 5 pillars because di ba kuan jud sila og nay mawa isa mag something di man jud to kuan kay they cannot stand alone if naikuwang isa atong 5 pillars. So this is a challenge because many formal education system currently focus primarily on learning to know and only secondarily on learning to do. Nevertheless, all 5 pillars are necessary to help people from all walks of life to create a more sustainable future. Mo tong reorienting education, di ba, kay as much as possible dapat sa kuan pa lang, in primary pa lang kay ba na sila nga they should not focus on basic, so open po sila sa new discovery, new skills, knowledge, and etc. So that's the end of my report. So I hope nga naatay masabtan no og unsay nganong importante ang sustainable development as a sustainability of our community. So that will be all, and thank you.